level with me? Did we suck?
I don't know. Did you?
She has to go. She knows we suck.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, Clint McLean. And this week, I am just coming to you for a real quick recap of UFC Fight Night Raleigh. As you may have guessed from the intro, we sucked last week. And more specifically, I sucked last week. So we did basically the exact opposite of what we wanted to do, which was come out of the gate strong and firing for 2020. Instead, we have buried ourselves in a hole. And to make matters worse, I went ahead and did maybe the number one thing in gambling you're not supposed to do, and I chased. After UFC Raleigh was over with, I went ahead and threw some down on Julia Budd to try and take down Cyborg as a plus 350 underdog, and because I am transparent and honest, that unit will count against me. I made it an official pick, and I threw the cash down trying to make a chase for it, and I have to count that against myself. So all things said and done, at UFC Fight Night Raleigh, we went 1-7. Oh, that just... that hurts to say. Oh, God. So we went 1-7 on official picks for last weekend, and... man, okay, so instead of spending a whole bunch of time going over stuff, I just need to dig straight on into this thing. The first thing I want to do is give the usual shoutouts credit where it's due. We've got some new subscribers. Thank you to Kevin Cross, Amadou Kamara. We've got Trevor Loudon. We have Josh Rusko, T. Pavlov, Rai Cape, and Rosenstein. Thank you all for joining the Die Hard Army, and honestly, I'm surprised that we got so many subscribers on a week where I did so shitty on my picks. I hope you just enjoy the show. That's the biggest thing. And I do have to give another big, gigantic shout out to my guy, Michael Lunday. You are the absolute best, my friend. Thank you so much for everything. Don't want to out you or anything like that, but Michael Lunday sent me a tip this week, which, first off, sending me a tip simply because he enjoys the show and the content on a week where we all potentially lost money. I sure lost money. If you tailed me, you lost money. But tipping because you enjoy the show means the absolute world to me. Just absolutely warms me up deep down inside, and he gave me a bit of a pep talk. So thank you very much, Michael. You are one of the good ones. I really appreciate you and everything you keep doing to help support this show. So thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you to the new listeners. If this is your first time tuning into the Die Hard MMA podcast, I apologize. You're getting a bit of a warm-uppy episode, because all we're doing this week is recapping Fight Night Raleigh, going over that kind of stuff, and we'll keep it nice, short, and sweet, because we have a week break, which I know, coming off of the giant break that we had right after the holidays, this really sucks to be in a break already. But the good news is we don't get a break after this until freaking April. So I'm going to take the opportunity to iron out some crap over here with my technology and make sure I am ready to go for UFC 247 next week. And then we're going to be coming to you every single week for like 2 straight months. So we have nothing but MMA ahead of us, and we can all get pretty excited about that. So, recapping Raleigh, I mean, the first thing I want to let you guys know is that I made a rookie error. I made a really bad mistake. So, like I said, 2020, we wanted to come out the gates and lock up some units, really get rolling, get on a streak right away. And instead, what I've done is completely overextended myself. I've just simply made too many bets. I mean, the first fight of the first fight of the year, you know, a couple weeks ago, UFC 246, we went 4-3. We had 8 bets on that card, which, I mean, it's a big UFC fight night. I liked our spots. That's not so bad. But on a fight night card like this, we're coming into it, I thought, we got to be careful with this. There are some dangerous spots here. Not really that many people who we really should be trusting our money with. We need to take it light. And instead, what I did is I pulled out the minigun and just fired off like the Terminator in the second movie. Just went absolutely nuts with another 8 freaking bets. And that was my bad. We should have really clamped down for these first couple of events and looked for really solid spots. And I really rolled the dice on what I thought were plus EV type of spots with good dog lines. And We talk about this all the time. It's betting, it's sports, it's mixed martial arts. It's the most unpredictable sport on the planet. You never know who's going to win in these things. And come Friday, I was sitting there looking at the bets that I had made, and I just felt really uncomfortable. As much as I had an argument and as much as I had a side for each one of these bets, I could feel it in the pit of my stomach. I was just like, oh no. But it was too late. The action had already been locked up. The bets were made. The podcast was out, and everybody was already on board. So you just got to kind of double down and ride with everything at that point, and it was just too late to do anything about it. But I had a bad feeling going into Saturday, unfortunately. And, don't attack me saying that was something I should have let you know about or anything like that. This was late on Friday and then kind of through Saturday, that kind of thing, that it started to sink in on me, and feeling nervous before that kind of event, or feeling nervous when you've got that many bets. Totally normal and understandable, but yeah, I did not like that feeling going into this one. So the night kicks off with little Herbert Byrnes taking on Nate the Train Landwehr, and oof. So first and foremost, this was like a giant red flag for me. I was trying to keep myself calm after already having a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, but Byrnes lands the very first knockout of his entire career against us, and that's something that just, when something like that happens, it's just like, oh boy, buckle up, because you never know what's going to happen when shit like that goes against you. So Nate the Train came out. He did exactly what we talked about. He was pushing the pace, and Byrnes snapped up a submission attempt, got him in trouble, and got him on the ground immediately. And that's where I'm sitting there going, oh God, this is the one situation that I said we need to avoid. This is the one spot that Nate needs to stay away from for us to have success here. Nate digs deep. He has good defense. He guts it out. He gets back to the feet. And I went, you know what? We are out of the shadows. We are absolutely out of trouble. We're out of the woods. He's going to crush Byrnes now. And then Byrnes comes through with a beautiful knee that I had never seen him capable of whatsoever before this, and just flatlines Nate. I mean, a shot that, it must not have been something that Nate saw coming either, because it completely put him out, ice cold. So that was not a fun way to start the night. Right when I thought we were going to get stuff going early, we got crushed just that quick. And like I said, it's when someone scores the first of anything against you like that, it feels like bad voodoo to me. Herbert Byrnes getting the first knockout of his career in a fight where I thought he was going to be entirely outclassed on the feet. Just not a good start. So we move on, and Brett Johns comes through and does the damn thing. He got into an absolute brawl with Tony Gravely, and that was a fun fight to watch. So nothing bad to be said against either fighter here. Tony is gonna do damage in the future. I tweeted that out after the fight, that was such a good, solid back and forth fight. And like I said in the breakdown going into it, this is the one that I actually got right, by the way. Maybe the one on the entire card. No, there's two. There are two. One of the two that I picked out perfectly on the night. Brett Johns, he's damn near top tier. He is in the top 5, top 10 conversation in this division, and Tony got thrown to the sharks here just because he was on a 2-fight losing streak. Wow. So Brett digs deep in the third round after a really back and forth scrambly hell of a war type of fight, and pulls off the submission late. Real veteran stuff there from Brett Johns. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. And it's unfortunate we're not going to get that kind of dog money on him going forward, I wouldn't think, just after that kind of a performance. His next fight, he's probably going to be priced, and then recency bias, people are going to be piling in on him. The next fight is one that I'm really upset with. Sarah McMann taking on Lena Landsberg. I tweeted out that I was going official on Landsberg and Ciphers, and the whole game plan there is we're taking 2 dogs. We sat back, we waited for money to roll in on the favorites, and as soon as I got to the point where I thought the lines were too wide, that's when we pounced. So the one thing I can say about this fight card is that we really got the best of the line in most of these situations, and if not the best of the line, close to the best of the line. And as we know, long term, that will pay off. But tonight it didn't matter whatsoever. We got Lena Landsberg locked up at plus 145, and I thought this would be a very close, scrappy match. Sarah McMann has a tendency to quit, and coming off of, like I said, the whole baby mama thing, and Lena Landsberg, she never gives up, even though she's a bit rough on the takedown defense. She always goes balls out and tries. And this was a fight where I just felt like I didn't know what I was talking about. I felt like this was the first MMA fight I've ever seen because McMann never quit. She fought basically a perfect fight. She put all of her skill sets to use, and Lena Landsberg did nothing. I mean, in the first round, she didn't even try to defend the takedown. She almost jumped into guard. She was just like, here you go, I'll go on my back. And then when the fight kept going that way, she made no effort to get back to her feet. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're getting smothered under a wrestler the caliber of Sarah McMann, there's not always a whole lot that you can do. But when you've had a full fight camp going, I know she's just going to try to take me down. How do you not have a get-up game? How do you have no get-up game whatsoever when you've had a full training camp to prepare for an opponent who you know is going to put you on your back? That's what I don't understand. She attempted one sweep in round 2, and then she just gave up, and she accepted bottom again in round 3. So, freaking Sarah McMann. My initial thought was to bet on Sarah McMann when I saw the line when it opened up, when we were looking at minus 125, minus 130. And then I was just like, I cannot trust this woman with my money. She comes out here looking like a minus 500 favorite and just dominates Landsberg from bell to bell. Awful, awful fight, and really sucked to watch because the only reason I made that bet is because I thought Landsberg would put up a fight, and she didn't even bother trying. She did not show up to work on Saturday. The next fight, Montel Jackson, Felipe Corrales. Montel Jackson did exactly what we thought we would. The size of the favorite he was, we were nowhere near that kind of a bet, getting anything on him, but, you know, he did the damn thing. Then we had Justine Kish taking on Lucy Pudilova. That was a fight that I got wrong as well. I'm really happy I didn't pull the trigger on that because Justine Kish was one of the few dogs on this card that actually showed up. Naturally, it's funny, you look back at this thing, I took a whole bunch of underdogs, and then the few short favorites that I did take are the ones that actually choked and let the dogs come through. So we could very well have been on Lucy Pudilova. I thought she was going to be the winner of that fight, and if you cashed on Justine Kish, congratulations to you, because I didn't see that one coming. Arnold Allen gets by Nick Lentz. That was another one where, big favorite cashes, and rightfully so. We feel like he was the favorite. If we had a side to bet, we were going to do him, but line was way too wide, that kind of thing. Bevon Lewis taking on Daquan Townsend. Holy crap. What a shit show. So again, another one where basically, if I could have parlayed the favorites together, there was only one that shit the bed. Naturally, that's the one that I bet on. We could have parlayed Curtis Blades with literally any other favorite on the card, and that parlay would have come through. But Bevon Lewis did not look impressive or pretty doing it. Daquan Townsend is a guy who basically every person who I've talked to, or every person that does handicapping videos, podcasts, whatever, no one seems to think Daquan Townsend is up to the UFC's caliber. He's not UFC level. He's not a guy that we're expecting to stick around all that long. And Bevon Lewis fought life and death with this guy. I don't know. I tweeted out I think Uriah Hall might have broken Bevon Lewis, and I honestly believe that because he was a prospect that just had nothing but upside. And after his last couple of fights, geez, I mean, he barely snuck by Daquan Townsend. That was more than likely 1-1 going into the third, and that third round was not a landslide. He did not comfortably win that fight. Holy cow. And even if it was like a 30-27, those were close rounds, every single one of them. Even if you scored all three for him, they were all very, very close. Just a disappointing fight by him. One where if you had the underdog, if you had decided to take a shot on Daquan, damn, you probably had the value side there, even though he didn't come through. So we hop on over to the main card, and could be worse. We're 1-2. Not so bad. There's a lot of fights left, a lot of bets left, and even though we're not feeling great, we've got some spots that we're okay with. Well, the very first fight on the main card is Jamal Hill versus Darko Stosic, and wow, I am done. Darko is in the trash can. That don't bet on this fighter trash bin that I like to toss people in. You just crumple them up and say goodbye. That's where Darko's going, because he is, just like I said in the pre-fight breakdown, he's got all the skills in the world. He has all the pieces in the world. He cannot put it together. I mean, props to Jamal Hill. Dude, 7-0. He appears to be a decent talent, and he fought a perfect game plan. I mean, I did say that Darko was going to be there to be hit. He just kind of wades forward and swings, and Jamal Hill has a bit of that tall man defense. And you know what? Darko barely missed on some of those big overhand shots that he was throwing, and I was hoping that eventually those would catch up to Jamal Hill, and maybe in the second or the third round Darko would start landing those, and he got a couple of them, but not enough to get it done. And the biggest thing that surprised me was Jamal Hill's takedown defense. And then once Darko did finally get the takedown, Hill had no problem standing up. I was floored at how easily Hill was just able to turn around and get right back up. From what I saw on any of his like previous fights or amateur fights, that was where he really struggled. So he must have been doing some work on that, or Darko is not as good as I think he is as a wrestler. Either way, we take another L there, we take another beating, and I am never betting on Darko again. I actually am very tempted to make shirts that say "Don't Bet Darko" and then have like the Die Hard podcast logo on those things and start sticking those out there as a reminder, so you guys can send me picture on fight nights wearing the "Don't Bet Darko" shirts the next time he fights or something like that. That'd be hilarious. Our next fight, women's strawweight, Hannah Cyphers, Angela Hill. Again, this is the 1-1 thing. We took Landsberg and Cyphers thinking one of these girls has got to come through, right? These lines are way too wide. And Angela Hill rolls on like she's a minus 300 favorite. Round 1 was very competitive. Hannah Cyphers was moving her head. She had good in and out movement. She was landing those combos that I talked about. Even though I scored round 1 for Angela Hill, Cyphers was in that fight. I was like, okay, like she is proving that she's competing with Hill. This is gonna be a back and forth brawler type of fight. I was actually kind of licking my lips at the plus 160 that we got because I really thought that Cyphers was gonna be able to turn it up in rounds 2 and 3, and this was gonna be a good thing. Hill gets the takedown in round 2, and this is where, I mean, Cyphers has the ground advantage. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt versus Hill's blue belt, I believe, and I thought that we were going to be okay here. She was either going to be able to defend or she was going to be able to get back up, and Hill showed her athletic advantage and moved right on into mount and TKO'd the shit out of Cyphers. And that was, oh boy, I mean, I'm happy for Hill. I'm a fan of Angela Hill, but I didn't see that kind of finish coming, and I really was disappointed at having to eat another loss. I mean, that's all it came down to. I wasn't upset with the fighter. It was the kind of thing that was fun to watch, and as a fan of MMA, it was beautiful, and as a fan of Angela Hill, it was awesome. I'm glad that she's putting it together at this stage of her career, but damn, I did not want to lose another fight, and especially after round 1 being close and competitive, I thought we had one, and the next one was even worse. This whole thing is just gonna get worse. So if you want to listen to me be upset at how bad I sucked at Raleigh, I mean, that's all this is gonna be. So Jordan Espinosa and Alex Perez. Perez is a big, juicy, chunky favorite, and Espinosa was a nice dog for a guy having an athletic advantage, a speed advantage, and a reach advantage. I'm like, come on, this has got to be a decent dog to take here. And Perez let us all know with a quickness that Espinosa did not belong in that cage with him. He took him down immediately and choked him out right away. I mean, there was no tap. I mean, Espinosa fought through as hard as he could. We got all the effort out of him that we could have ever asked for, but that choke was just way too deep, and it was a blood choke too. He went completely unconscious, even trying to fight the dang thing. When they were on the feet, Espinosa, just the couple of shots that he landed it was obvious that he was going to have a striking advantage, and I thought he was going to have a better takedown defense game, or a better get-up game. I didn't think that Perez was going to be so dominant on the floor. I knew he was better. I didn't expect him to be quite that dominant. Just another yikes. The best way I can put it. So we brush ourselves off and we go, you know what? It's time for our 2-unit parlay. It's time for our big play on the night, Rafael Dos Anjos and Curtis Blades, and I am super confident in this play, right? I've been talking all week how Chiesa's fought a couple of bums that are past their prime, and Rafael Dos Anjos is still fighting like he's got it at 170, and this is a great matchup. It's one that I saw coming a couple weeks away. I pinpointed this fight because I wanted to bet RDA against Chiesa in this spot, and round 1, RDA concedes to Chiesa with the grappling, which, again, we kind of expected. Round 2, Rafael Dos Anjos comes out and puts it on Chiesa. He absolutely outclasses him on the feet. And you can tell, whenever Chiesa gets outclassed on the feet, he does not like being hit. The couple times that RDA hit him and worked that leg with his leg kicks, I mean, he was not having fun. And that was exactly what we were looking for. We go 1-1 into round 3, and I'm like, RDA's on a roll here. He's got the momentum. He's got the strategy. He knows exactly what he needs to do. This is effective. We're going to lock up round 3 here, win rounds 2 and 3, running away, and cash this bet easy. Well, Chiesa has other ideas and comes out and lands a takedown. Props to him for getting a very important takedown in round 3. But what really sealed the deal for us was, for the first time ever, Rafael Dos Anjos was untrustworthy in his game plan. I don't know what happened here. So it's right about the 2-minute mark of the fight. Rafael Dos Anjos has an opportunity to hit a reversal. He gets out, he grabs Chiesa's leg, and I'm thinking, oh, yes, thank you so much. He is going to kick off here, make space, stand up, and then he's going to proceed to beat the brakes off of Chiesa for the next 3 minutes. And that first minute and a half to 2 minutes of cage control and ground advantage isn't going to matter because RDA is going to beat him up for the rest of the fight, and we're still going to cash this bet. No. Apparently RDA didn't think that was a great idea, and he wanted to go for a heel hook. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but there aren't a whole lot of heel hooks landed in MMA. They're very hard to land. They're very hard to pull off. And when you are playing footsie with a fighter who is younger than you, taller than you, longer than you, you're at a distinct disadvantage there. And rather than using that attack to sweep and get up off the mat and get back to his feet and make that space, Rafael Dos Anjos accepts bottom position one more time. And there it went. Just pull out your lighter and whoof, light that ticket up. That bet was gone the second Rafael Dos Anjos decided that he would rather play jiu-jitsu with Chiesa than get back to his feet. And I was screaming at the TV. We're at my father-in-law's house, and I am screaming at the TV. They probably thought I was a crazy man, more so than they already do. I mean, they know me. They know I'm insane. But more so than normal, because this one really hurt. That was frustrating to me because Chiesa played a perfect game. He really did. And shout out to my boy Justin at UFC Bro Picks, because he called this one and he bet it and he cashed nicely on Chiesa. But it all came down to Rafael Dos Anjos' decision making. In round 3, if he had made the right choice, if he had gotten up, we win that fight. And as soon as I saw that choice get made, I reached for the fireball. So, not that it matters, but I couldn't have called the Curtis Blaydes fight any better. He was younger, faster, stronger. Junior Dos Santos did a great job of defending the takedown, which, I mean, I was really impressed with Junior's takedown defense, actually, because Blaydes didn't land a takedown. But then Blaydes was just like, okay, fuck it, I'll knock you out then. And landed a giant shot. My poor wife, she's a huge fan of Junior Dos Santos. She loves all these old school fighters, and the changing of the guard fights where they end up getting clipped and knocked out, she can't handle them. So that was tough because, believe it or not, my wife is an MMA fan. It's one of the reasons I love her so much. And the Curtis Blaydes fight cashes easily. Now, this is a spot where I could tell you all, I messed up. We should have just taken the prop on Curtis Blaydes by TKO because that's exactly what I said was going to happen. And believe it or not, I hope some of you did do that. I hope some of you actually did cash on that because we knew Blaydes was going to win this thing via TKO. Didn't expect it to be standing on the feet. I thought it was going to be ground and pound, but we knew it was coming one way or the other. But man, I loved the parlay. I loved it so much. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined that Rafael Dos Anjos would give up bottom to a guy like Chiesa and piss away a fight like that. I mean, it'd be one thing if Chiesa had just, imposed his will on him, kind of like he did in the first round or at the beginning of the third round. That'd be one thing. I could just be like, geez, well, I underestimated Chiesa here. Sorry. But no, I didn't. Rafael had the game plan. He had the opportunity. He had the chance, and he blew it. And that's what really sucks for us here. And then, like I said, I broke the cardinal rule. Never chase. You just never chase. It doesn't end well. It doesn't end well. And after taking the full flight of dogs that I did on this card, I thought, why don't we take one more dog and see how that pans out for us, right? So I flip on over to Bellator, and I had previously thought about betting Julia Budd. I had broken down the fight, and I thought about putting out like a little YouTube video for you guys about it, and I didn't. I decided not to because I decided not to pull the trigger on the bet. I thought that Juliana Budd is basically a younger version, a better version of Holly Holm. She's going to have the strength advantage. She's good in the clinch, and that's what it's going to take to stifle Cyborg. And if Cyborg is a little bit rusty, if she's a bit on the downswing at plus 300, plus 350, plus 400, wherever you would have gotten her, she was a decent bet. Well, I decided against it because I was already spread too thin on this card, and after losing my ass off, I thought, you know what, risking one unit to get 3.5 of them back, that doesn't sound like such a bad proposition right now, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger. Tweeted it out, made it an official bet, and Cyborg did her thing. Cyborg absolutely showed that Amanda Nunes might be the only one who can beat her. I thought that she was going to be more vulnerable. I thought she was going to be rustier. Honestly, it looked like she had slimmed down a little bit. I think that fight with Amanda Nunes taught her that bulk muscle may not be the way to go. She seemed faster and more explosive, which really worked out for her here, and Bud just could not take it. She had Cyborg locked up a win over a true championship caliber type of opponent. I mean, Bud hasn't lost in 8 years. Even if you want to say she's over in Bellator, she's not fighting the cream of the crop. That is a long time to go undefeated, no matter what your talent level is. So, great win for Cyborg, and unfortunately, I pissed away another unit there. So thank God to Brett Johns. He's the only one that kept us from getting absolutely reverse swept here. We cashed plus 105 on Brett Johns, and that buries us at minus 7.24 units on the night. And that doesn't feel good at all. So, not great. Not great at all. And that brings the 2020 record to 11-4, minus 8.04 units. And I don't want to apologize. I can't apologize because that's not what we do in betting. I will always give you guys my opinion. I will always stand here, and that's really what this is. I know this might seem like I'm, crying in my beer a little bit here and complaining. That's not what the intent of this episode is. The intent of this episode is transparency. I've always told you guys that I'm never going to run from you. I am never going to hide from you. If I have a bad night like this, you see other cappers online, you see other people, touts, people pay for their picks, and they will claim to have never lost. They'll claim that they're on a 10-year winning streak, this, that, and the other. That's not me. I will sit before you and I'll tell you when I messed up, and I will take my licks every single time, and all I can do is promise that I'll be back better, and I'll make sure we right the ship and we get all of those units back, because those of you who have been with me since the start know I will. I bounce back pretty hard. It's something I tend to do. This kind of a loss motivates me. It lights a fire under my ass, and I can't stand the fact that I have good, hardworking people risking their money based on my opinion and losing to this level. Now, not all of this is, it's gambling. It's our fault for making those picks. Obviously, it's my fault for making those picks. But a lot of it also is a bit of a roll of the dice, because some of these situations could have easily gone either way. If Herbert Byrnes doesn't land the first knockout of his career, if that knee is just a little bit short, maybe Nate just goes on to train him for the rest of the fight and we cash that one. If Rafael Dos Anjos makes one better decision, we lock up 2 units there because he wins that 3rd round instead. If Hannah Cyphers doesn't give up the mount, maybe she gets to her feet and makes it a scrap. You just never know. You just never know. If Jamal Hill doesn't lean back with his tall man defense quite far enough, maybe Darko clips him. But remember, don't ever bet Darko. So, rough night. Some bad variance right now. Some bad decision making on my part, but some bad variance as well. We will work hard to get it back. We're looking forward to next week where UFC 247 comes around. The return of John Bones Jones. It's another kind of light card It's got a couple of spots that I'm interested in. I'm currently working on my tape study. There's a couple of short dogs that I'm very interested in on this next card. I really hope this run of favorites doesn't hold up, because 2019 was the year of the dog in MMA. Dogs were cashing left and right last year, and that's really how I make my bread and butter. So I hope that this isn't a year of favorites where the favorites just roll on through and are always constantly cashing like the last fight card. You got to expect there's going to be some variance in the middle there. We'll just have to find the good spots, but it's always more fun when the underdogs come through anyway, right? It gives you something to cheer for, and if all the favorite wins, it gets a little old. So we're going to look forward to that. Another gigantic thank you to you guys. You really are the best. You know that? I feel like I've done a good job in preaching positivity and preaching, that we look out for each other, and this isn't a me versus you type of thing. So a lot of people cashed bets that were going against me, like betting on Angela Hill, betting on both Hills actually last week. And I'm happy for you guys. I'm really happy that you made some money. And I got nothing but showered with love after such an horrific loss. I mean, you guys really came out of the woodwork, the diehards, sending me tweets, comments on YouTube, emails, tips like my guy, and it really just means the world to me. I feel like I've done a very good job in promoting positivity in a sport, in an environment, in a, I guess you call betting a hobby if it's not your job, but in an area where there's a whole lot of negativity, high stakes, easy to get worked up. You guys didn't come after me. There were no torches and pitchforks. There was no lynch mob, which I appreciate. But you all came after me and reminded me that this is how it goes, and these downswings will happen, and that it's okay, and that we'll get it back. And I just appreciate all of you for that. Taking the losses and then getting mobbed by everybody afterward, it doesn't feel great because I'm already beating myself up enough. But you just never expect to get that kind of a positive reaction after a weekend like this weekend. So thank you. One more time, thank you. If you stuck with me this far, you are a true diehard, and I appreciate your time. We're going to wrap the show up for this week because, again, like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about for next week. There's no Bellator event or anything like that. If there was, I would totally cover it. But we've got some good UFC fights coming up. We've got John Jones versus Dominic Reyes, and then the week after that, I actually might be more excited about Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz 2. The week after that, we have got Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker, and that is a damn good fight card. That's another one where, for me personally, there's some low-level fights on that card with names that I'm really excited about. So even though it's not got giant star power or anything like that, I've got my eye on a couple spots on that one. And then after that, we've got Benavidez versus Figueiredo, which I believe that event is for the title on February 29th, and Felicia Spencer returns. She's the last one that fought Cyborg, so I'm excited to see what she can do now that she's at the top level against some other top tier opponents that aren't just the best in the world. And then kicking this thing off in March, we've got Israel freaking Adesanya taking on Yoel Romero, co-headlined by Wiley Zhang and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I mean, that card, UFC 248, is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Neil Magny's coming back versus Jing Liang. Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, is back on the card. Unfortunately, we lost Rob Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier because Rob is just maybe the best guy in the world, and he's taken some time off to donate bone marrow to his daughter. And as a dad who has a daughter, like that hit me right in the feels. That one stung a little bit. I hope him and his family have a very speedy recovery after that. But wow, so we're down 8 units to start the year, and that really bites, but I couldn't be more excited about what's coming. We've got a lot coming ahead of us. We've got a lot of good spots. We've got a lot of exciting fights, and 2020 is young. Things are looking up. We can definitely get this back. It's not like we're crapping the bed at the end of the year here and going home with our tail between our legs. We're just getting started. So stay tuned. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you like this content. It's going to just get better after this. I promise you, next week's show is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. If you're on audio only, you might want to head over to YouTube because it's going to get better and the party is really popping off over there. All the information you might want about the podcast is in the link down below in the description at Diehard MMA Pod on Twitter. I love chatting with you guys, so if you want to reach out to me, if you've got any questions, leans on fights, things like that, or if you want me to go over anything that happened in the previous card, if I missed something, hit me up. Let me know what you want to chat about. I love interacting with you guys, and I'm on Twitter pretty much 24/7. So with that said, thank you, Diehards. I appreciate your time tonight. Let's roll.